Mornings done right.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock,
Spice Up.
this is the Situation Room, and on this 9th day of June, we're looking into a number of conversations with those, and we ask ourselves the question often, what should we do when it comes towards retirement, and how should we make sure that our retirement is in tow and that we have certain issues sorted out? Our guest is seated this hour, and as we look into those issues, Pauline Gathuri is the senior manager with Life Insurance Business Association of Kenya Insurers, and we're looking at retirement planning and why it is important. Pauline, good morning and welcome again to the Situation Room.
Good morning and nice to see you again.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah?
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
You know, when we hear retirement, we get scared.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because we now start asking ourselves the question, say, okay, I have not started in time. I don't even have a shilling. Where am I supposed to put it? It's under the mattress or pillow in the back of the drawer. Is that enough? And, you know, we're always asking ourselves this question. And folks who've got into now maybe what would be, you know, when the window is closing, you're saying, okay, what am I going to do? Yes. And I guess that's why it's important for us to have these conversations, because I guess you're going to tell us that there is something that you can do and why it's important to do so.
Yes.
So before we start that, Dennis has taken a trip on CT's behalf, and he's gone to a different African country. So CT's asked him to tell you what today's proverb is and where it's from, and then to give us your opinion in form of an interpretation.
I was hoping to do this. No, when I didn't see him, I was very happy.
No. So you see how the Constitution, you don't see the Constitution every day.
Yeah.
So you don't see CT every day, but you know it's delegated the powers. So
Yeah. And so today we actually close our home.
Ah,
Close home in the sense that it's just a neighboring country called Uganda.
I'll try.
Now, Uganda is a very interesting country because in terms of rainfall, as compared to other countries in the region, it enjoys more rain, a food basket of the region. But that aside, they also have a mountain range, the Rwenzori, which is largest in Africa. And aside from that, if you want to enjoy gorillas, I know we don't have that in Kenya, but just go to Uganda and enjoy the same and perhaps say hello to Museveni, you know? Yeah. But aside from that, the proverb of the day today, a person who has not traveled thinks his mother is the best cook.
That is Kenyan. I can have it in my local language. Yes.
What do you make of it then?
Yeah, that's when you're only exposed to what is at home, or when you're only exposed to, for example, what is in Kenya, you imagine it's the best. When you travel, then you get exposed to other things, and your mind and thinking expands.
Yeah, and you see, in this case, when you're just exposed to having your money in your mattress, you would not know the importance of having what? Early planning.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, there you go. I mean, it's, I guess, travel a bit, open things up, right? Retirement planning and why it's important. That's the conversation that we have today. And every time we hear this big R word, we're like, oh my goodness, the scary times are coming. But maybe not so much, Pauline?
If you've planned, it's not scary.
Okay.
But when we don't plan, it can be very scary. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, you're telling us that it is important to plan for retirement. I mean, it sounds like something that's so obvious when you think about the time when you will not be actively working or then actively running a business. But then it seems pretty obvious that you should plan. But let's get into the issues of why then it is important from where you are.
Thank you so much, Du. Now, to start with, I work for the Association of Kenya Insurers. That's like the umbrella body of all the insurance companies in Kenya. We are not the regulator. Many people think we are the regulator. We are not. The regulator is Insurance Regulatory Authority. The pension business is, in this case, the insurance industry is a major player in running actually the majority of the pension schemes in the industry. And pension business is one of the best, I would say, regulated business in Kenya, because it's regulated by, in the case of the insurance companies, the Insurance Regulatory Authority. And also we have a regulator called the Retirement Benefits Authority, who really regulate all the pension schemes in the country. And for you to operate a pension scheme, you must register it with RBA. So on to why is it important to plan. Why is it that we need to plan for this retirement? And I think I would look at it in that when you look at our lives, it's basically 3 stages of life. The first stage, before maybe age 20, up to age maybe 25, if you're lucky, you're under your parents' care.
Yeah.
They take care of every need you have. They take you to school, they feed you, they house you, everything. So at that time, you're a dependent on your parents. And that time, then you go to the next stage, which is basically like the productive stage of your life. This is the age where you actually produce and, take care of other people. So from age 25 or 30 to about 55, 60, when your body slows down, that's the most critical stage in your life, because that's the time now you're developing yourself, you're starting your career, or you're setting up your business. You have a lot of energy, you have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
You are at your most productive in life. And then responsibilities are also following you. You have family, you have children, you have to pay school fees, you have to, all those things. And in the midst of all those things that you're supposed to do, you have to remember the next stage of life that is awaiting you, which is now what we call the retirement stage, whereby the time you hit age 60, whether you like it or not, biologically your body will slow down. You'll not have as much energy. You'll not be able to hustle the way you could hustle during your productive stage.
Yeah.
So, and this is where most of us forget that this stage is coming. So in the midst of the school fees and the housing and the taxes and all those things, please, it's very important for you to also put something aside that you will use when you get to the last stage, because the last stage is mainly consumption. Yes, between 60 and 70, if you had, for example, started something, you can still produce, but it will be at a slower pace. And when you look at this stage, there are some facts that are quite like the Retirement Benefits Authority. They do a lot of surveys in the country. And one of the things they have noted is that after the retirement age of 60, most people are assured of living for the next another extra 20 to 30 years. That is to age 80 and 90. At that stage, you cannot do much. Your work is just to consume. Then the other thing is that there are some expenses that really go up during that retirement stage. Medical costs. Again, the research from RBA shows that up to 40% of the total income of a retiree goes to medical expenses. And another very trend, I think it's a new trend that has developed, very scaring, is that RBA have also done the latest research they've done, that 40% of now the current retirees' income is going to support grandchildren and their children. So it means at that stage they still have dependents. I don't know whether it's because of the economy, and so the younger people who are supposed to be in the production stage, so the burden is actually shifting to parents now in their 70s. So you can see that is why it is so crucial for us to save that. And then again, the last fact from this research is that when they did a research in the country, only about 26% of people are actually consciously saving towards their retirement.
What number was that?
26%.
26%.
Yes.
So, okay, sometimes you break that down. So for every 100 people, only 26 are actively saving. Okay,
Yes.
let's have real conversations, bullying, right? So, saving for a retirement, we've heard the numbers before and what we've been told, and we're told that you should there's a certain percentage that you should put aside. So if you're not active, like you said later on, what kind of numbers should you be putting aside to ensure that you can either maintain or improve where you have been in the last 20, 30, 40 odd years? What should we be putting aside so that you can ensure that that time you're not a burden to anybody, but at the same time that you can maintain quality of life?
Okay, thank you so much. So the experts say for you to live a comfortable life, you need about 70% of your current income. So they say to achieve that, maybe you need to save about 20% of your salary every month. But again, when we look at it, it's that may not be very practical with all those expenses you have during that stage. So we always say that if you are able to put aside just 10% of your income towards your future retirement, that is most people are able to retire comfortably with that kind of savings per month, because again, when you start putting away that money, remember it's being invested, it's earning compound interest, and remember they say compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So the earlier you start, the better, because then compound interest works into your advantage. So I would say, if somebody is able, if you still don't have a lot of responsibilities and you're able to put aside a higher percentage, the better. If you're not able to, just start. Even if it's 1%, just start with what you have. You know, the most important thing is to put something aside. And as you do that, then you never know, next year your situation improves, and then you can be able to do that.
Okay.
And sorry, if I could just maybe give an example, is why do we want to do this? Is because, yes, we know there are so many stresses in life. Even right now, we are all stressing about money. You have so many obligations, but actually, they say the worst kind of poverty, and I think you'll agree with me, is the poverty you suffer in old age, when you don't have the energy and you have very few options in old age. But when you're younger, you can hustle, you can go talk to your friends, let them give you ideas, try this. But when you're old, your options are very
limited.
So, Pauline, we talk about insurance penetration that is low. We talk about retirement now and the need to plan for that. And one would say, I just want to save my money in my bank just so I see it there and I feel nice that I have this money. But what now, when it comes to retirement, what are some of the products that are there? Where does one even start from? Because it is information that also, it's being said, it is hidden. It is not there for people to grasp it. It's not at our fingertips. So what is there in the market?
Thank you very much. So one of the things I'll just mention before I talk about the products, last year in December, the government came up with the tax benefits, the tax amendment laws. And they gave some other benefits which we had been fighting for, like for the last 10 years. The tax benefits now that the government has extended to people to save for their retirement are actually amazing. Number one, the new laws now allow you to save up to 30,000 of your salary, of your money every month, tax-free. So you enjoy that tax benefit at source. So when the HR is preparing the pay slip, kwanza anakupatia your benefit. Number two, something that we've been fighting for so long is that before, when you now came to the stage of when you're drawing your fund, your pension at retirement, you would pay tax, quite heavy tax. Now that has all been removed, so that now when you get to the retirement age, if your retirement age is 60 according to your scheme, or if it's 55, whatever the retirement age defined by your scheme, you get this fund that you have saved tax-free, and or if you have been in the scheme for 20 plus years. If you've been saving, not just this particular scheme, but you've been saving for your retirement for 20 years, then you get the money tax-free. Again, if you retire on ill health, you know, somebody can even retire at age 40 because of sickness. Then again, you draw your money tax-free. That's a huge tax benefit. And I think we really need to take advantage of it. And so one of the things you'll find is when you're able to just start small, put some money aside, then at the end of it, you'll find you have built in a good chestnut. Why is it that, because Dennis, you said, why can't I just put it in the bank? So number one is the discipline. I don't know whether if you put money in your account, are you able to keep it there for like the whole month, So it is very important to lock it away somewhere where you can't just pick it. And again, pension money is very protected. I would want to just even ask people to read the Retirement Benefits Authority, Google that organization. They are very, very strong in regulating the pension monies. So what happens is when you set up a pension scheme, it doesn't mean you can't also invest in other things. You can buy a house, rent a house, you can do a money market, you can do a SACCO, but please, it should not be like an alternative to your retirement. Why do I say that? You find we encounter people, somebody has a rental house. Like the other day I was being told about a lady, she's now in her 70s. She has a rental house. Her tenant has not paid her rent for 18 months.
And she's still there.
And she's unable to, she do even have the energy now at 70 to fight a young 35-year-old, And finally, when she even involved other people to help her, she just said, please just get out of my house, And rent wasn't paid. If that was her retirement plan, what will happen to her? So that is why it's very important to join a registered retirement benefit scheme. So what happens is we have 3 different types of schemes. We have the government sponsored schemes. This is the civil servant scheme. So all the civil servants are in that scheme. And we also have the NSSF, which by law, every employee should be a member of NSSF. And of course, we know that even the contributions we make to NSSF are quite low. Now it's going to change because as you know now with the new NSSF Act, the amounts are changing every year and increasing. But there's one very important provision that was made in that NSSF Act, because maybe not everybody wants to take their retirement to NSSF. So there is the contracting out clause. So you can actually put the tier 1 in NSSF, and then the tier 2, which is the bulk of your retirement fund, you take it to a private scheme of your choice, so that you're able to track your money, you're able to check your statements frequently, you're able to be assured your money is safe. So we then also have the employer-sponsored schemes. These are the occupational schemes. Like I know for you guys, you have an employer scheme. So these employer schemes could be standalone, where you have the standard group retirement benefit scheme for all the staff. Or you could also have now an umbrella scheme for smaller employers. Employers who have 10 employees, 20, instead of setting up their own scheme, they can come together. We have umbrella schemes in the industry where they can just plug in. And then they don't have to bother so much with the running of the scheme, but they just get updates. Then for the individuals, because we have so many people now who are self-employed, who are in their own business, we have what we call the individual retirement benefits plans. So you just look for the one you like and plug in. And let me tell you, in Aki, we give a lot of information. We even have books. Like there's a book we recently developed. This is one of the very few books in the market on retirement benefits. Yeah. So you go to our website, www.akinsure.com. We have a lot of information there. Educate yourself. And then you'll see all the schemes. They are listed there. The ones that are registered with RBA, the ones that have been allowed by RBA to contract out of NSSF. You'll find all that information there, and then somebody can choose a scheme of their choice. Okay. So you start saving every month, and then you get your statement. Now the statements, you can get them online, so you can check your statement even on a monthly basis every time. So when you save, then we can, maybe I can pause there, and then we can come back to talk about how you draw your money. But I think one of the most important things I want to mention is that all the retirement funds managed by insurance companies are called guaranteed funds. The capital you put in is guaranteed. So whatever amounts you put, you've saved, is guaranteed. By law, there's a contract. And also, you have a minimum rate of return that is also guaranteed. And how is this possible? Because under the Insurance Act, any company that deals with pension funds is required by law to maintain assets way above the funds, the members' funds they are holding.
Okay.
I have a question. My question is, with all these products you've mentioned, how do you evaluate whether a pension product or life insurance plan is good or it's exploitative, especially with the rise of financial scams and you've got circles collapsing. People put money in there, saving the money in there, they're collapsing. You've got MMF funds. You've got NSSF. Auditor General the other day reported that 16 billion cannot be accounted for. There's also the issue of remittances to NSSF where there are deductions being made, but by the time you're going to check what was getting into your account, there is actually nothing. By the time you start pursuing a company to figure out how is it that I was being deducted all these amounts and they're not being deposited. So there are all these financial scams and all these scams around this. So the question is, how can you tell that, you know, this plan is good or this is going to exploit me? Because the fine print for many people, it comes with a lot of things. And for a lot of people, they're not able to digest everything around this product and what is hidden. How are you able to tell that this plan is good or this is going to exploit you, especially in light of all these scams?
Yeah, it's actually a very sad thing, and it leaves you feeling very uncomfortable, especially when you hear of like what you've said about the circle, what happened recently. Yeah? I want to first address the issue of remittances. Yes, it's a big problem, and most of the let me say actually all of it is affecting mainly the government-related bodies. You know, the university, the public universities and government bodies where monies, and maybe also counties, I think, where money is deducted and then it's not remitted to the pension scheme, which is a very sad thing. And I know it's something that RBA is engaging the government, and I think in the last budget, or what they're pushing now, they've even been given powers to sort of like wind up employers who are not remitting employees' benefits, where you've deducted my money and you're not remitting, you know, and using that money for your operation. So maybe that I may not be able to really give an answer, because those are government bodies that are mainly having that problem. So the other thing, but what maybe we can say is that if you're in such an organization and you discover as employees that your monies are being deducted and they are not being remitted, I think as members you can come together and go to RBA. RBA can be able to stop the employer from continuing now to deduct, at least deal with what has already been deducted. So go to RBA, present the case, so that now they can be stopped from at least deducting any further. And then as an employee, you can then take up an individual pension plan, which is a private scheme, very well regulated, and you can put that money that was being deducted there. At least that way you'll be taking a step towards safeguarding your retirement. Okay. Now, when it comes to the private schemes that are managed by RBA, one of the things I would say is the first step would be for everybody to go to visit the RBA website, so that number one, you see the schemes that they have registered and that they regulate. And what is and even when you go to our website, we also show you those schemes and then link you up to the RBA website. But in my opinion, and maybe you can also look at the audited accounts of the companies, but almost all, not let me say actually all the registered schemes, the ones that you can join, either the umbrella schemes or the private schemes, the individual pension plans, are very secure.
Okay.
Because this money is actually invested, and the funds are there. The bulk of those funds are invested in government bonds, and you can actually track, and you can. There's a rule of, if you want to withdraw your fund, it's 30 days. And if you have any problem, I know RBA is a regulator that has helped so many people. Like, if you have any problem with pension, you report to them within 7 days, your issue
And it will be
is
sorted.
out, yeah.
Okay. I think it's also important to us to then look at practicality of some of these things, and we'll come back from this break and be able to do that. We're looking at retirement planning and why it actually is important, but then looking at the nitty-gritty of things and how they actually work. I see some questions coming in, and they're quite important ones for us to look at, so we'll do that when we come back from the break. Pauline Gathuri is a senior manager at Life Insurance Business Association of Kenya Insurers. We'll continue with this when we come back at 26 minutes to 9. Average salary is the for those who are working in Kenya, right? And according to KNBS, 23,000 shillings of this money is spent if you have the average household number of 4. That is 2 parents and 2 children. That's not taking into account other things, like if you've got a domestic manager paying for those things. So about half of that money, this is pre-tax, goes towards taking care of those things. So the question then for people, Pauline, in practicality, is that what is left for you to then be able to put behind, especially when we are operating in a hand-to-mouth economy, that whatever you get, you spend, and then you pray to God that you get a little bit more to then be able to survive. That's the real picture, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So how do you operate within those parameters?
Thank you. Yes, actually, that's the reality on the ground. But even as you've said, okay, 23, so there's still half of that money. That's when I said, start with as little as you can.
Okay.
But please start. Because like with most of the individual pension plans, you can put in as little as 500 shillings per month. Or even per, whenever you get money, this is not somewhere where you have like set amounts that you have to contribute, like 10,000. You can just contribute as little as possible as you get the money, because it is so crucial to build that that fund that you will use when you're not able to work anymore. And even in the reality we are living in, as things are this difficult, remember, like when we look at our society, the structures that used to take care of old people have disintegrated. So when you're old, maybe your children are not even in the country, or they are not able to take care of you. So who will take care of the old person you'll become? So that is why, even with all these and that's why I say the productive stage of your life, you have so many obligations, but it's still the time also for you to save for your retirement. And very important to also build or buy a house or prepare, where I always keep asking yourself this question of, where will I live when I'm old? Where is it that where will I be living? That question can make you even restructure your life
Right now.
so that if you're going for a house where you're paying rent of 30 or 40K, you downgrade so that you start thinking of, where will I live? Where will I be living when I'm 65? Because there's nothing that is as sad as being 65 and you have no home, you have no house, and maybe you can't afford rent. Where will you go? So those are very difficult questions that we have to keep asking ourselves, even in these difficult times.
And still plan for them, notwithstanding.
Yes, plan for them. Yeah, because they're coming.
If I put in 20,000 shillings every month, and I get to the age of what's retirement, 65?
60.
60. So the assumption is that in year 61, if I retire in December when I'm turning 60, the assumption is that come January, that I will start getting something.
Good. Then maybe I can just talk about now the product. The how you get your benefits, not products, how you get your benefits. So once you have now hit retirement age, you have built this fund, it has been growing, you've been getting your statement every other month, every year, and you're able to track how you are. And by the way, you can transfer your fund to another registered scheme. It's not that you have to stick to one. So at retirement, you have 4 options. Number one is something we call a pension or an annuity. And I'm sure where you come from, you guys are Nairobi born. Those who come from the village, if you look at your village and
I come
and
from
you
the village.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
If you look at the village, who are the most comfortable people in the village? They are teachers and maybe civil servants. Why? Especially teachers, because they have a monthly income. Every month they go to the bank and draw their money. And that sets them apart from the other people. And it has also been, research has also showed that they actually have the longest, they live the longest because they have that income, that cash flow that comes every month. So that option you have is called a pension or an annuity. And that one pays you an income. You can draw 1/3 of the money and you now try your hand at business or whatever you want to do, but 2/3 goes to buy you that pension. And that pension is payable for the rest of your life until the day the person dies. And then if the person dies very early, there is normally a guaranteed period of about 10 or 15 years, depending on what you choose. That money can be paid to your dependents, either as a lump sum or the same way.
You mentioned about insurance being the safety net after the fact. But now here we are talking in terms of the information is not there. So there is the aspect that has also been asked here by one Sonnet, and it's asking several questions in terms of, does now AKI and the stakeholders go out of their way to hold seminars and talks in rural areas? Because then again, majority of Kenyans are in the rural areas. Do you extend that to schools to talk to children in terms of the need of financial planning and planning for the future? And how do you also deal with the fact that Kenyans are struggling economy? How do you, they're struggling economically, how do you convince them that despite the little you're getting, just start? My grandpa would say, chaka chaka, just start. Somehow you'll find your way. But how do you convince a Kenyan who's struggling economically to start equally just putting something aside for retirement?
Okay, thank you very so much, Dennis. Sorry, just to finish, you have that pension. You also have the income drawdown, where you can put your money as a fund and you keep drawing a part of it every month. Then you can also get cash, which is highly discouraged because you might use all of it in 1 year. And then you also have the post-retirement medical fund. So you can also use part of that fund if you've been saving for the post-retirement medical fund. And in the tax laws amendment that I said, sorry, one of the benefits I forgot to mention is that the government has also given an additional tax benefit. You can save up to 15,000 per month for your post-retirement medical fund, a fund that you'll use at retirement, either to buy yourself a medical insurance or to pay the hospital bills directly or to pay the SHA fees. Yeah. So now, how do we, the question was on what is Aki doing to make people aware?
Yes.
We do a lot of trainings, a lot of public education campaigns where we speak to everybody and tell them why it's really important to do this. And the RBA, the Retirement Benefits Retirement Authority, actually drives all over the country in all the counties. Speaking about this subject. If you go to their
across areas,
in every they even do trainings in Wajil, campaigns in Wajil and road trips to just educate Kenyans and tell them, please, it's important to do this, and we partner with them. So we train people, we train employers, we have a lot of materials on our website, which we try and share with them, and they are free. And then we also engaged the government to try and introduce this financial education in the school curriculum. So that is one thing I know. It's a project that RBA is also really engaging the government with, so that from school level, from college level, tertiary education level, you are trained about why it's important to save for the future. So we are doing, and especially we have a lot of trainings which we put on our website, and I would even encourage, and even the RBA, they have open trainings for people. So just check the websites educate yourself. And where you see a training, reach out to us, reach out to RB and say, I would want to attend this. So the materials are there and the trainings are there. But of course, we've not done as much as we would want. We would want to still do more and partner with you guys to do a campaign.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing about this culture, is that it's a culture.
Yes.
That it's not something, from what I'm thinking, is that it's not something that you can say, well, you line up here and you drop the thing here and you get something at the end of the line. It's got to be a culture, isn't it? And that people have to get into the place where there's the understanding. It's like taking out insurance for your health. That something might happen later. So the culture is having a nest egg that you can now then, take from later. Beyond putting money in a place, how do we create or start to get us to get into the culture of doing something? It's about how we eat. It's about how we dress. It's about how we entertain. It's a culture. How do we get to that point?
Thank you. You just reminded me of a story somebody was telling us about ants and grasshoppers. Maybe you've heard about it. If you observe the life of an ant, when the weather, the conditions are conducive, and I believe that is the productive stage of the ant, they are very busy. You will never find an idle ant that's just roaming around or sitting. It will be collecting food, looking for food, and taking it to its storage. And when the conditions change, that ant is safe, because then they get back to their bunkers and they have food to eat. Then grasshoppers, what happens with grasshoppers? And I believe many of us have that tendency, me included, to behave like the grasshoppers. When the environment is good, the grass is green, we're just jumping about, happy, eating, food is plenty. Then when the grass dries, what happens? All the grasshoppers die. Because they didn't have a storage. And the only thing that saves them, by the grace of God, is that they lay eggs there that hatch when the conditions again are good. So I think it's that, the way you're saying, it's our culture and we have to change it. That's why we are talking about it. So that we move away from, we know that even if I have this little, I can still put something aside. In every Kenyan community, there's a proverb that says, what you do in your youth feeds the older you that you become. That one is there from long time, and it's in every community. That what you do when you're young and productive is what will feed the older person you will become. So I think it's a culture thing we have to keep, and at an individual level, just challenge yourself and ask yourself, by the way I am living today, when I'm at that stage, what will I do? And if you look at our society now, when you look at old people, your children have left. They've gone. Or they are not even able to support you. What will you do? Where will you live? How will you be meeting your medical bills? So just to that can give me sense of reducing my expenses today to put something aside
For tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's an argument because you earlier said 40% retirees and what they save actually goes up to medical. We know about medical insurance companies in insuring the elderly is another whole story. And the question then here is, if someone, for example, has been saving up to just a rough estimate, let's say 2 million. 2 million in the next 5 or 10 years, today it may look like it's a lot. In 10 years, it will be something very, very small because the cost of living keeps going up. So how then should retirees prepare for, the health emergencies, the medical bills in the inevitable old age as they're doing the pension planning?
Thank you so much. So, that's a very good question. So, like what we've said now, there is the post-retirement medical fund and products are there. Like, I don't know whether you've heard Dr. Odundo, the former CEO of RBA, speaking. That is one of the things he always says, please make sure you have sorted out your medical bills. And these are products that is there. Like him, I remember him giving an example of where you pay a lump sum at retirement and you're covered for life. So those products are there. And what you do even with the products you get, the annuities and the pension I talked about, now they have an escalation clause to protect you against inflation, so that it increases the amount benefit you're paid increases every month. Because remember, this fund is not sitting idle. It's being invested, and so it's earning interest. Yeah. So, but that's a very good question, Dennis. So the most important thing is with this medical. Remember, when you build this fund, you have options, because you can either buy a medical cover. You can go for either an annual one, or you go for that one time and you're covered for life. Or you can even use that money. I believe maybe our SHA will improve. You can use that money to pay your fees, to pay your, it's called the charges for the SHA. Or you can even have your
Premiums,
fund. If you've built it, it can be invested. And then with the interest, you pay your premiums, or you even pay your medical bills directly from that fund. Yeah. So at the earlier years, when you're more healthy, the fund is being invested. And then as you hit 70, maybe when the health challenges come, then you can actually pay from that fund. I don't know whether that's...
Yes, sure. My other question is 80% of Kenya's workforce is the informal economy.
Yes.
And so, what are really the practical or accessible pension solutions when somebody doesn't have a pay slip? And part two of that same question is, you will find if there's commitment, for example, you're paying 20,000 every month, then at some point you're actually not able to pay the 20,000. What I've seen also is the stress where there's a push, you please make sure you pay the 20,000, and you're not actually able to. And because this money is reinvested, there's also pressure on the person who's putting in this money to try and source for these 20,000, and know they're not able to. So there's also that stress to make the payment when you're out of a job or you're not able to pay. So how should somebody go about this? Realistically speaking, they don't have a pay slip, and there's the pressure where they're not able to continue paying the same amount they're paying.
Okay.
The flexibilities around this.
Thank you so much. So thank you. Yeah, that's a very good question. So 80% of the people are in the informal sector. That's why we have that individual pension plan. Anybody can plug in. You get in as an individual. You're given your own individual contract and policy. And then you have your own statements. You're able to track. Now, I know where that is coming from, of the pressure of, I have to pay this money every month. Those are insurance, like the long-term education policies. With pension, this is a pure investment product. There's that no pressure of at every month I have to pay this. So if you're in the individual pension plan, that's how they work. This month, I could even just put 500. Then maybe I have a dry break of where I have no income. There is no, it doesn't affect your plan. Then I get a contract, or I get another job to do, and I make 100K. I put in that 100K there. So your statement at the end of the year will reflect every month. June, 0. August 0, September 100,000, and then the interest, the money starts earning interest from the day you put it in the account. So that one is not affected by any breaks. If you don't have an income, like you're self-employed, a break is okay, and then you put in money when you get a job. So that one is not structured like for an employee, where I have a monthly income.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pauline, there is a question that is being asked severally in terms of the rates that one is being paid upon retirement, especially when you talk about NSSF. And someone would say, I see no need of really investing, yet there is now the conversation we're having on the importance of saving on the same. So then how is AKI, say, and stakeholders together with government just working to address the rates upon which retirees get at the end?
Okay. So for NSSF, I agree the amounts are very little. For most people, after working for 30 plus years with the current contributions that we are paying, you end up with maybe 200K at retirement. And that is why it is crucial for somebody to then have an additional retirement plan, either as an individual pension plan or with your employer. If your employer has that scheme, it's it's so crucial for you to join it. If your employer doesn't have it, please join the individual pension plan. If you're a small media enterprise, if you're a small to medium enterprise and you don't want to set up your own scheme for your employees, join the umbrella schemes. There are very many options in the industry. Because one of the things that you find, there are some myths, and that is why I think to also speak about that culture thing, there are some myths we think about and we rely on, and then at retirement, when we are old, we discover there are myths. The first one, people think the government will take care of me. In Kenya, no, unless you migrate to another country. Then, people, that is also a myth where people say, see me, I save NSSF. That will take care of me in retirement. My friend, it will be 200K. Then there's also the myth of, see, I have children, I've struggled to educate them, they will take care of me. Do you think that is practical today? Somebody said the Gen Zs and the ones coming after them do not even have it in their DNA to help anybody else. So you ujipange. Then people also say, in retirement, my benefit, my expenses will be very low. I won't be traveling. Really? They will be very high, because remember, your expenses do not retire. You're the only one who retires. The expenses are there, and you even need help with some of the things you could do for yourself. Then again, to speak to what do you said at the beginning, some people say, I'm very young. Now 30, I'm very young. Please, my friend, start. Because you will not know by the time you hit your productive age, and then all these responsibilities fall on you. Time will go so fast. Before you can breathe again, you'll be 50. And
So
then others say it's too late. Now I am 40, I'm 45, I'm too late. It is not late. It's better you start just the way you said your grandfather said, please start now. It's better to get to age 60 with a smaller fund than with no fund at all.
Indeed.
Okay? Yes. And some people think I can keep working forever. When you are young and strong, you think like that. But when you talk to a 65-year-old, they tell you, you cannot be able to do that.
You won't be able to.
Yeah. And then, the other one, you talked about the myth. It's better to invest in other vehicles, like I can buy a house, rent it out, I can have a circle, I can have a money market. Have those, but those are not for your retirement, because anything interfering with them, then you're left exposed.
Even as you wind this down, Pauline, you talk about starting early, and then the places where you can capture a lot of these minds to start to form a culture is when they're still in school. And I'm not even talking about tertiary, I'm talking about formative year school, what everybody now calls comprehensive school, primary school, for purposes of this. How far can we make sure that those conversations are happening at the school level really quickly?
Okay. So just as I've mentioned, the regulator RBA, Retirement Benefits Authority, I know they are on that project, and they're engaging the government so that we have financial literacy, not only about retirement, even about other things. We also need financial. There's a research I saw where Kenya is among the countries with the poorest. Do I say poorest or lowest financial literacy? Not financial literacy as we don't know how to manage our money. We believe in, I get now, I eat everything today.
So I can make more tomorrow.
Yes. I think it's something that you said that speaks to our culture. And as you've rightly said, the best way to capture it is from, at that stage when children are taught that, then they grow with that information. But even for us, we can still change.
Indeed.
Yes.
We can.
Yes.
Pauline Gathur is a senior manager at Life Insurance Business Association of Kenya Insurers, has been our guest this hour. Retirement planning and why it's important. Thank you so much. Quite refreshing this morning, and for us to also remember that and to make plans towards it. And if you already are, keep at it. Thank you so much for doing this with us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So maybe I'll just request that members can visit the AKI website, can reach out to us for any information they need. We are very willing to guide them, and we do a lot of trainings. We can share the materials with them. We can direct them to RBA for further information. Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.